How you doing, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, my name is Mo, and today we are finally going to be installing some suspension parts on the Sequoia. I went with the Camburg upper control arms. Now there's so many great companies to choose from, but with the build theme and the colors and what I wanted, I figured the Camburg was the best choice. And as you can see, I made the right decision because from the wells to the powder coating to everything, they are absolutely gorgeous, and I can't wait to get them on the truck. Now there's a couple things that we have to do on the bench before we go ahead and start installing them, so let's go ahead and take care of that, and I'll show y'all what we need to do. All right, so this is the whole Camburg upper control arm kit. Now it comes with the control arms, and inside a little bag it comes with some nuts, bolts, zerk fittings, and also new snap rings, also your bushings, washers, and of course the bolts and all that to go into the Uniball. All right, so the first step we need to do, now this is going to be the top of the control arm, and this will be the bottom of the control arm. So what we need to do is insert our zerk fittings in here. Now these are self-tapping zerk fittings, so you don't have to drill any threads or anything like that, and you got to make sure that they are facing forward and not bottom them out, so when you need to service them or anything like that, you are able to insert that grease hose in there and apply grease inside. Anyways, now the instructions say that this is a 1/4 inch wrench, but it's not. It is actually a 3/8, so you just take your 3/8 and kind of snug them up, but you don't want to tighten them all the way bottom out, so this will be fine right here. They are pretty tight, you don't want to bottom them out. And then you're going to install these on the control arms on both of them. All right, once you get your zerk fittings in, then we are going to be going ahead and installing the bushings themselves. Now we have supplies grease from Camburg, and I highly recommend using this silicone grease. It's pretty good, but we're not gonna put any grease around here. The only places we're gonna put grease is inside and on the face of the bushing itself. A lot of people make mistakes and put the grease inside, and then what happens is your bushing will end up moving if you do that. So the only grease we'll apply is on the pivot sleeve itself, and inside the bushing, and on the outside of the rim. So let's go ahead and do those. Now that we put our zerk fittings in and put our bushings inside the control arms, it's time to install our pivot sleeves, and these have to be greased up on the outside, and we have to grease up the inside of the bushing and also the face of the bushing, because when we put the washers, they need to be greased up. So let's go ahead and do that and apply the grease that they provided for us and install them inside the bushings. We're just gonna put a good generous amount on them, grease all up, and this is some sticky stuff. The silicone is pretty good grease. We are gonna apply some grease inside the bushing itself, put some on the outside. So now we're gonna insert this pivot sleeve, and what you want to do is just push it in. All right, as you can see, we installed the pivot sleeve inside, and this is how it's supposed to be. So let's go ahead and do it for all 4 corners, and we'll get back with you. Now that we got our zerk fittings, bushings, and our pivot sleeves inside the control arm, now it's time to jack up the truck, take the wheel off, and I'll show y'all how to start taking everything off to be able to install the new control arms. All right, the first thing we need to do is remove this cotter pin right here. All right, that was easy enough. Once we remove the cotter pin, then we're gonna use a 19mm to take this off. I definitely couldn't get my impact in here to loosen this up, but I used a breaker bar and I broke it loose, and I don't have anything, so I'm gonna use a wrench. Anyway, so I used a 19 with a breaker bar to break it loose. I don't have a ratchet wrench or anything like that, so I'm gonna use a regular wrench and take this off. Now that we loosened the castle nut, we're gonna go through and loosen this hole through bolt, and then we're gonna basically separate the ball joint from the upper control arm and remove the whole control arm. But also do not forget the brake lines. Remove this bracket, because with the Camburg upper control arms, they have a attachment where you could attach this brake line to the upper control arm, just like how the OEM is. All right, let's go ahead and take care of the brake line right here, the ABS line. Let's go ahead and take it off. It's a 10 mil, so the brake's loose pretty easily. Now that we got this ABS line off, and this is the bolt for it, put it here, and then we're gonna break that big nut for that big through bolt. I don't have anything to get in there, so I'm just gonna use a wrench, and I thought I had a pipe to put on the wrench to get leverage. All right, so I used the double wrench method, and I got the nut loose. All right, so now we got the castle nut off to put this tool on, and we took that nut over there, but we haven't taken the through bolt yet. Guys, do not use a hammer. Just rent this out at your local auto parts store. Make sure the tools are in working condition, and it should be as simple as just turning, and should pop off this upper control arm off. Having the right tools will make your job so much easier. All right, now we popped off this upper control arm. Again, make sure that everything's loose, so you won't stretch these wires and cables. Now that we got the upper control arm broke out from the ball joint, then we're gonna take our trim tool. We're gonna pull these off. Let's pull the second one. All right, now the bolt came off, so now we can take the control arm off, and it's that simple. It's really not hard. All right, so the next step is take this snap ring. You get your pliers and a screwdriver. Now my pliers are pretty cheap and they don't extend that far, so we're gonna try to use them. All right, we got that snap ring out. We took off the boot. Now the ball joint seems like it's pretty in good shape, but we're gonna upgrade them to the Camburg anyways, so might as well take all this old OEM stuff out and replace it with the new stuff. Now we're just gonna have to press this one out, so that's the next step. So let's go ahead and press these out. There is a bracket for this line right here that kind of expands and all that. You just remove it so you're able to fit a cup for your ball joint, and then just rent out one of these tools from any auto parts store, and you will be able to take this ball joint off. So we're gonna go ahead and see if this works. All right, so we finally got the ball joint out. Again, use this tool. It's amazing. It works pretty well. What I did is I took the boot off and put it in the center, and then used this cup, and it fits it perfect. And I mean, it dropped. It didn't take nothing but to pop it out. So now we gotta pop the new one in and put the new control arm. So let's go ahead and do that. That's gonna be the next step. All right, so the other tool didn't work. I ended up using this one, the jaws, and went ahead and put a cup and pushed it in from the bottom like it's supposed to. But just be careful that it's going in straight and not crooked. I ended up getting it done, and this one should be done now. All we need to do is put the brackets back on and put the upper control arm and button everything up. So this is probably the hardest part, is getting this one pressed in. Kind of have the, once you get that tool set up and it's even, you just kind of crank on it and it pushes it where it seats up perfectly. What's left is we got to put the snap ring, and then we can go ahead and start installing the upper control arm. All right, so Camburg supplied us with new snap rings, so we're gonna go ahead and put this one in, and these should be fairly simple. These better than the OEM ones. All right, so we finally are ready to install the upper control arms. Now we are provided with new washers, and these washers are gonna go in between the bushings themselves. So when you put it on, just make sure that these go in between each side of the bushings. So 4 for this side and 4 for the other side. All right, so they also provide you with a washer and a nut, a new nut with, it's a 9-lock nut, and I already put thread locker on here. So we're just gonna do that and thread that in. And we're gonna tighten it after we get this aligned, and we might need to put it on a jack to put on there. But first of all, this area right here, we need to put anti-seize on. And also, all right, so this piece that goes in here needs some anti-seize. We're gonna give it a generous amount of anti-seize. And then so is this area, and this is going in here. So I got everything buttoned up, everything is torqued, spec and everything. Now this, you don't need a castle nut, so once you press it in, the bolts go in here, but you need to torque it to like 123. I did about 125. And then here they have like their own brackets, but I couldn't take these brackets off because they're like metal and they're wrapped around the cable, so I did not want to break it. So anyways, I just put their supplied screw through this hole and kind of bent one area up so it'll fit and won't rub and mess up the powder coat. And this through bolt and knot lock, I torqued it to 85. So yeah, everything is done. I'm so happy that I went with Camburg. I mean, it wasn't an easy job, but at the same time, they just look good. I cannot wait until all the suspension is in and having the full effect in the wheel well, see how good it looks. And also the performance, because as you can tell, my shocks are about done and I need new shocks. So yeah, I'm excited. Anyways guys, if you like this video, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, and I'll have more videos coming up, and it's all gonna be suspension stuff from now on. So it's pretty exciting stuff. So yeah, just keep in tune and I'll have more videos coming.